Well, it's the day after we started to prepare this bed, folks. Yesterday when I came out here, got rid of all the parsley. Thought to give it a little bit of water to see if I could just, moisten it up a little bit, thinking that it's nice and moist down below, only to realise that it's bone dry. So yesterday we started to crack this open. Now you can, one thing I didn't talk about was cracking open the soil. Rather than turning it over, get your garden fork or your trowel like this and just crack it open like that. Now, as I'm doing it now, you can see how nice and soft it is because that's what I did yesterday, and we got the water in. Now, yesterday when we dug down, it was bone dry. Have a look at that. How nice and wet is that now? So this whole bed has been hydrated. Oh, look, and we've got worms in there too. So think about worms. Oh, geez, there's a lot of worms in here. Look at this. All right, worms will actually shrink in size when they run out of food source and moisture, just to preserve their lifespan. So they shrink to accommodate for the lack of whatever's going on in there, and in this case was moisture. So now we know we've got life down at the bottom. We've hydrated that. Now it's time to top it up. Now what I'm going to do with this, normally we say just put another layer of compost on top and then put more mulch. I'm actually going to put a layer of mulch, not a thick layer, but enough so that I can create a bit of a food source on carbon where it starts to break down and those worms will come up to feed off that as it starts to break down. And then we've got our planting on top of that, which will be our growing area, and then mulch again on top of that. So a little bit of mulch and then planting. This stuff's been soaking in here for days. The top part's dried out because it's not sitting underwater, but the stuff that's underwater, well, it certainly stinks. Oh God, it really stinks. So not a very thick layer is what I'm thinking. You know, probably can go thicker, but I think just a layer like that to sort of cover the soiled area. Let this drain, we can leave that in there as well. So that's the second garden fork's worth. This is just over a square metre, this garden bed, so that's two, I reckon three, four garden forks worth, you know. Third one, spread this out. Now we're leaving the root zone here of the parsley. It's still very alive. It's definitely going to sprout up and probably go straight into flower, which is okay. We're not concerned about that. We've got plenty of parsley growing everywhere. But if it does decide to die down, it's good too because it becomes another food source for the life in the soil. So that's the fourth one. Oh, just a little bit more, I reckon. So we'll go 5. Some in here, some over there. Now I can probably plant straight into this. In fact, not probably, I can plant straight into this. I haven't put any fertiliser down, meaning like our superfood or black grit, because I was planning to put planting on top. But if you were to plant straight like this and use this as a bit of protection if you get high winds, it's a great idea. Just give it a light top dress with a bit of superfood and black grit, and then you mulch on top and you're ready to go. But in this case here, I'm the privileged recipient of broken bags. So I get all the bags that everybody else rejects because they crack open for whatever the reason, and I put them into this garden. So this is what I'm doing. So I've gone about 1.5 bags here, no more than that. And I don't think you really need any more than that because I can plant straight into this. But before we do that, what do we do next, folks? That's right, we go inside and have a scotch. We hydrate it. The stuff that's been sitting out in the sun and dehydrated. They seem to be showing you all the problems. Well, I suppose that's a better way than showing you all the easy results and getting the best bag of potting mix that's freshly made, you know, and planting away, and it all looks picture perfect. Don't you love those shows? We used to do those. No, we didn't. We actually showed the bumps and bruises. I'd rather show you the problems that we all occur day to day in the garden. And this is one of them. I'm no exemption. I get bags. They sit out here in the sun for God knows how long sometimes. I've got a couple of bags over there I've forgotten about. The colour's faded on the bags, but I'm still going to use what's inside. I mean, ideally you shouldn't. ideally you should use it straight away, within 4 weeks, I suppose, if you're buying and stocking it up. So if you've got any of our products, anybody's products, don't put them in storage for weeks on end, months on end, then go crack them open and say, and I've had this experience. People stored stuff for 3 or 4 months, and these are in the clean skin bags. Then they've poured it into their garden. Actually, they put it straight into pots. They use a bag of compost that's completely dehydrated, straight in the pot, expected the plant to grow, then emails and saying your product's shit. Whoa, let's take a step back here. I'm not blaming anybody else if our product's shit. I don't know how I got onto this topic. We'll claim it, but when we do the history search and see, oh look, you ordered those 6 months ago and you've only just used them yesterday, work it out. Doesn't work like that. I mean, you expect the stuff to be completely destroyed inside. And this stuff here has been sitting here for probably almost a month, these 2 bags, and you can see it's pulling up. I'm no stranger to pulling up, and neither are you guys by now, because you see me constantly working with not quite right stuff. And why? Because we all do it sometime in our life, and we all have a failure, and we all want to learn. But if I keep showing you all the easy stuff and just making it look like it's that easy to do, then you go home and do it and you get upset because it hasn't worked. Well, A, you're not going to like what I'm saying. B, you're going to think I'm just like the rest of them. And C, you're probably not going to want to use our products again because you put it in storage for too long. And by the way, if you're storing black grit and it's been in there for 3 years, it's still good to use, because I know some of you made a wall of that stuff. Guys, specials are great, but you got to use the products too. You don't just buy them and store them. I've got some reserves there, I know that. In case I run out, I can contact my... Or are you selling them on the side, huh? Because they're so cheap. So if you've got bags of soil or compost or anything sitting in a garage for too long a period, it's dehydrated, well, like I've had, this is what you've got to do. As you saw yesterday, if you haven't watched it, watch the video yesterday on this topic here. I came up to this bed just the intention of putting stuff on top, as I mentioned earlier. But once I cracked open the soil and saw how dry it is underneath, I realised that I've got a bigger problem here. Well, a bigger task ahead of me. The problem being that I've got to spend a bit more time to hydrate it, and that's what I did. I cracked it open and checked it. Now you can see what I'm doing here is I'm scraping through. You can see a little bit of dryness. It's pretty much hydrated now. And once I have hydrated, like I did underneath, see that? There's just a little bit of dryness still. It just needs one more dressing of water over the top. You saw this earlier. I hydrated this. I dug up a little hole just at the beginning, and what happened? The worms are back. They've come back because there's moisture there for them. They can't live in dry, dead soil, or we call it dirt. But once you hydrate it, you've got to make sure you keep it hydrated. Unlike what I did with these 2 garden beds, or 3, I let them go to waste, gave them a sprinkle of water like this, thinking, yeah, that's a good job. Yeah, just like that. I went like that, ran around the edges, thought, yeah, that's nice and wet, but it wasn't. So to avoid having to crack open your soil every time, make sure you hydrate. All right, that's hydrated. Mulch now. If you've never seen this before, folks, one day technology will allow us to have smell-o-vision. I am fermenting my straw. I'm using pea straw and some bean straw, but I've got a lot of pea straw now because bean straws are out of stock. And I've been soaking it in my biostimulant. Now, there's plenty of ways of making a biostimulant. That's called gathering all your weeds, the leaves and all that, including grasses, putting them in a big bucket, just like I've got in here, while I'm using a barrow here, or a four-wheeler. Fill it up with water and let it steep. Now, you can put a lid over the top of the weeds to cover it. So if you've got it in a barrel of some sort, that's your own homemade weed tea. You can do it with manure, as a bag of manure. Keep it in its Hessian bag if you can get one of those. Drop the whole manure bag in the bottom of the barrel or bucket or bin. Fill that up with water, let it sit for a couple of weeks. It's going to stink like this, like this stuff here. I can taste, I feel like I'm chewing it at the moment. So once that does happen, then you just mix it 10 parts to 1. 10 parts water, 1 part of the solution that you've made. Or if you haven't got the time and can't be bothered making your own, get ours, our Eco Butch and Liquid Gold. Top shelf products, folks. I don't say it because they're our products. I say it because they are a great product and one of the best, if not in the industry. If you think otherwise, I'd love to hear from you. or if you have tried it, I'd love to hear from you and share your results. Because all I can say is that every time I put this stuff in, we're all eating it. Yeah, you don't let the liquid go to waste either. If you don't want to make any more mulch, well, start scooping that out in a cup and diluting that down to 10 parts to 1 and pour that in your garden, because I'll tell you, you'll be breeding a hell of a lot of good microbes and all sorts in there, folks. Or in your garden, that is. Oh, geez, the plants simply love it. Okay? Nature itself will tell you if it's good or not. You know, if you see something that's slightly off on your plant, you've bought a plant or you're growing something or used the product, even if it's our product, don't ignore those things. I mean, I'll give you an example. I'm looking at the silver beet, right? That's about to bolt there. I know I've got to deal with this and I'm going to basically take it out. I'm thinking I don't need that anymore. Now you can see the celery leaf. The old flowers are here. Do I want them? Don't I want them? I'll cut them off because I've got new growth already coming on there. So that's ready to move on and get rid of all the old stuff. And there's the babies there. Look at that, nice and fresh. So we get in the second and third generation growing on their own. Look at this. We've got garlic here that look like Ethiopian garlic because they haven't really been able to grow down because this soil isn't activated enough either, right? And it's dry underneath here. Look what I'm pulling up. Dirt, it's dry. And I know what's happening in this section here because it slopes down and I've got no liner and the water escapes. So I've got to work this and crack it open like I just did in that bed there to activate it. But from this sort of point onwards, excluding the garlic, the others are okay. Considering this garden bed was a shocker up 6 months ago, nothing was growing. It's turned around. Now the beans are very small. You know, if you see my beans in the past, folks, I've grown giant beans and I've always grown them big. But I thought, let me try them in here and see if I can activate this, because all I'm trying to do is get the life in the soil to come to life. So by putting all these different plant varieties in here, I'm activating it. And some things are doing better than others, and I can see what will work in this bed and what will not work in this bed. And that's what you got to do. Pay attention to the microclimate above and below. Below, very important, because above, well, we do what we can, but if below is not right, above doesn't matter. Get it? There you go, folks. Another bed prepared and ready for planting. Immediately too, folks. I'm not going to do it because I haven't got any seedlings here. So I will plant this out. And I didn't feed this one because the planting mix that I've got that I plan to poured on top is full of superfood, black grit, compost, worm castings, charcoal, cocoa fibre, rice hulls, and the list goes on. So everything you need is in that bag. So you can use it as a top dress fertiliser, or you can actually plant directly into it. So you don't need to add any more superfood if you're using the planting mix. In about a month's time, I'll come around and put a handful of superfood and black grit over the top, and that's how I keep it going. And liquid feed it as often as you can. I reckon every week if you could. And it's not me trying to sell you a product, it's me telling you some great ways to keep your garden active and get it thriving even bigger and better than ever before. But I mean, time's of essence, and not everybody can spend that sort of time every week liquid feeding because you've got to make up the solution and so on and so on. But if you're going to do anything, at least planting mix, superfood, and once a month at least with a liquid feed. And make your own. Liquid feed whatever you've got in your garage, get rid of it all. And then fill it up with Eco Butch and black grit and superfood and liquid gold. Did I miss any of our products? Did I say them all? Should I say them again? No? All right. I love them. So the message here, folks, is to make sure you keep your garden beds hydrated, no matter what you're putting into it, what you're growing in there. Don't expect the rain to do a job that you need to do, and keep your garden alive. And if you need any of our products, they're available on our website, Click and Collect outlets. We've got a dozen of them by now. You can find all the details of each store on our Click and Collect tab, so go to the homepage and look all that up and support your local outlets. They're all families as such, working from home, making a little bit of pocket money on the side, but providing you a product that helps us get it to your door at a cheaper rate. And they're bloody dirt cheap at the moment. What's the special this time? What are they calling it? Cyber? Click Frenzy, that's the one. So we're doing Click Frenzy. I have no idea what that means, but I mean, just click, 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 that's what I interpret it as. Great specials. Take advantage of them, vasilisgarden.com, and I'll see you maybe tomorrow. Madesi.